Welcome everybody back to LJ's Comic Burrow. My name is Jay. I am the host for the show, and yes, happy new comic book day to everybody. This is right. Today is the day that everybody looks forward to going to pick up their favorite books, unless you're me, who waits to new the payday, which is the end of the week. But I've got a lot of great books coming up. I've got a lot of number ones, a couple foils, so a lot of great things to be able to look forward to, and a lot of good books to be able to show off in the next week or two. That being said, first thing I like to be able to do is, if you like what you're watching, you like what you're seeing, dear God, if you like the words coming out of this mouth right here, please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment, because the best thing about doing a show like this is be able to have that interaction with those that are watching my show and those with like interests like myself. And I know I'm spitting all that out and so fast and so everything. And now we can calm on down here. And if you like what you're watching and like what you're seeing and you like the words coming out of this mouth, please share with other people. Let's see if we can't build that subscribers list here. Every little bit counts. I'd love to be able to see if we can at least get up to 100 before my year's end, which would be in 13 weeks from since I actually started this show. I'd love to be able to build that subscribers list here. Other than that, and even more importantly to me and my family, if you're going to go do a rescue, best thing I'm going to tell you to do, and I'm talking about rescuing animals and stuff like that, please, please, please do your research. All right. I've read and have knowledge of so many people that have not done their research, and they're now stuck in situations that they didn't need to be stuck in when it comes to problems with whatever animal they decided to bring home at this time. And it is pretty sad talking to certain vets at this about this at this point in time, especially dealing with my own issues. Vets, love to share stories and to know some of the saddening stories that are going out there. So the best thing I always tell you people to do is please do your research, as I'm surrounded by a few of my rescues at this point in time. And after this, I'm going to go hang out with some of my rescues right now, playing in the ferret room. This, so little things to look forward to here. Now on to the probably the part of the show that you're absolutely here for. It's my comic book day. All right. Now, like I said, I usually get new books every 2 weeks, but I always get a few extras to be able to show off on that off week, and I'm pretty excited to be able to show some of these off. Now, if you watch my past shows, I talked to you guys about how my dad was such a huge Batman fan, and I used to read Batman. Don't get me wrong, but I never was such a huge collector until the closer to his unfortunate passing. And I started doing my research on some of the great artists and some of the great writers who worked on Batman. Now, I've always knew about some, but looking back and doing a little bit more research, I found some amazing artists and some amazing keys that happened in the Batman universe. So to be able to bring some of those home, or bring some of those fillers home, and to finish up some storylines was pretty much a big treat for me, and a kind of an homage to him too. Because collecting, really, is pretty much personal. All right. I know some people collect for the money. I know some people collect because of the artwork or whatever, but in the end, it really is personal. You don't go out and you don't try to collect the big keys and stuff like that, because the big keys eventually turn to small keys and the prices always drop, and the money that you spent for never usually is the money that you end up getting back in the end. So everything is pretty much personal when you're going in collecting comic books like these. All right, so let's show off the very, very first book. This is Batman Annual 11. Beautiful artwork, and if you had noticed, newsstand. But if you don't recognize the artwork, that is John Byrne. You know him as the guy who did so much great artwork for the X-Men. Should say the Uncanny X-Men. And that is Alan Moore as the writer. Look at that. And that's right, Batman Annual number 11. Great condition. I absolutely try to look through all my comic books to see how good these are. I wanted to see what I'm really paying for. And most of these I actually picked up from my local comic book store. They ended up getting a great collection of Batman over at Comics Connection in York, Pennsylvania. And most of them are in absolute pristine condition. So, not that I'm looking to actually sell these or anything. Like I said, collecting is personal to each and every person. So, but that is a John Byrne cover, and the legend Alan Moore writer. All right, so if you like that one, this one's also going to be pretty cool for you. This is Batman issue number 358. For those that collect Batman already know what this issue is. This is the first cover, second full appearance of Killer Croc. Now, he's one of those that I'm actually collecting. He's probably one of the most affordable villains out there to be able to start collecting. There's, I think, one cover that, dear God, is a little bit more expensive, and I think it's the issue that comes prior to this, where it's the 357, where it's the first appearance of Jason Todd. For those that love Jason Todd, and personally I'm not a huge fan, it's Damian Wayne all the way for me, and I actually have that full storyline now. But it's pretty much the it's not the full appearance of Killer Croc. That's just a small appearance there, but absolutely beautiful cover. If you like that little shiny cover, spine is really good. But yep, absolutely great cover. Now, one storyline I really am trying to fill out, because I had actually all the major keys behind it already, is the Hush storyline. So pretty much now I'm just filling in those small little things, like, you know, the smaller books just to fill in the story. Yes, minor keys, some of them, actually kind of most of them, because each one is a different representation of Hush, of different people actually playing Hush. So, to me, that's pretty cool. Other than that, let's show off some of these. And this is issue 614. This is the origin and the second appearance of Tommy Elliott. That is a direct issue, as my wife's dog is sitting there moaning and groaning. That's Jeff Loeb, and Jim Lee is the artist. I think Jim Lee does such an intricate work here with Batman. He really, I mean, they're, and I brought this up before. There is certain artists that have done an amazing job with the Batman work, and please, I'd love to be able to hear what you guys think are the best artists, best writers who have ever done Batman. Personally, I'm going to have to say, it's Neil Adams. He is the top of the list. Not just because he's the most expensive to try to be able to get a hold of, but he did such an amazing job the way he drew Batman. Number 2 is Lee. All right, and he is coming to the Baltimore Comic-Con, and I thought about it, but he is one of those people that are so pricey to be able to get their autograph. It just, you know, if I had the money that day, I might sit there and try to step in line. But I'll be honest with you, he's a little out of my price range when it comes to considering getting an autograph. But maybe, I don't know. I might end up with one of these with a nice signature by Jim Lee and probably send it off to get graded if so. All right. Now this is Batman. Oh, that was Batman. Yes, Batman 610. This is Batman 611. And this is origin and second appearance. This is right. This is origin of Tommy Elliot. Because Tommy Elliot needs a lot of origins and a lot of different books. And look at this. I mean, artists out of the 90s did something that was so different and so special. You had Tom McFarlane with the Spider-Man web and how he sat there and drew all that. And then Jim Lee, look at those vines. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This couldn't be, I mean, this artwork. It's just something so special with some of those artists that came right out of the late 80s, early 90s. You had the Jim Lee, you had Rob Liefeld, you had Todd McFarlane. I know Rob Liefeld gets a lot of smack because of his feet and hands. But he came up with some of the most incredible creative characters that the comic book world has ever seen. And that is undeniable. And dear God, if you ever want to see him, just watch him hang out and answer questions and stuff like that, go to Whatnot. He's usually out there on either, I think, Wednesdays and Fridays, right there on Whatnot. He's usually selling a lot of his artwork and stuff like that. And then you can get signed, graded, and everything else. So if you ever want to see Rob Liefeld, he's right there. I know Tom McFarlane does a lot of stuff there on Whatnot. I haven't seen Jim Lee yet, but I mean, there's some of the people out there that is still doing some amazing, incredible work today. All right. Now, this is, I think, the last Batman issue I have actually here to show you. And this is Batman 614. And come on. That is an incredible Joker look. That is just beautiful right there. And scary at the same time. But definitely some amazing artwork there by Jim Lee. And throughout this whole run, it was Jeff Loeb doing the writing. And you can't take away the series really isn't anything special without both of these people writing and doing the artwork. That is what made this whole storyline special. Look at that. And if you have a different opinion, please tell me who you guys thought were your favorite writers, who you guys thought were your favorite artists there on the Batman comic books. All right. Oh, and that was, I forgot to mention, that also was that was a classic battle of Batman versus Joker, and it's also the first camera appearance of Hush Harvey Dent. Like I said, throughout that whole series and that whole storyline, there was tons of different little Hushes out there, and it was a lot of intricate dealing and a lot of storytelling to be able to get to where they need to go with the ending of that story. So, plus there's a couple good books that I'll be showing off, not next week but the week after. Couple good battles that Batman has with other participants in the Justice League. So, all right, now. All right, I've got 3 books here, and they are from Whatnot, okay? And when you're on Whatnot, you're trying to sell yourself. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to not just sell yourself. You're trying to sell your product. You're trying to sit there and you're trying to do the best to be able to get the most money out of the product that you're selling. Okay. Now, how big the book is and how small the book is, you have to be honest with your audience, because your audience a lot of times knows more about the product than you do. There's a reason why they're probably, watching and possibly participating in selling, or refuse to watch and whatnot or whatever. Hell, I know people that watch my show are probably a little bit more knowledgeable than I am about some of the books and stuff like that I show. And dear God, and if you are, please leave a comment. I'd love to be able to hear, if I'm not saying something correctly, please let me know. I'd love to be able to get that conversation with you going. So, My wife is a huge Wolverine fan. I know this. I know how much she is a huge Wolverine fan. I can't keep up with conversations with her and Wolverine, not with just movies or whatever, but with the comic books. So there was a seller on Whatnot, and like I said, they're trying to sell themselves. They're also trying to sell their product. But the worst thing you can do as a seller is to lie. Absolutely lie about the product that you're selling. Okay? Worst thing. It's a huge turnoff. There's a reason why the seller only had, I think, 8 buyers in the thing, and it was a huge Wolverine show. He was selling all the way. He had every book from volume 2, number 1, to all the way to the end, which is 280 something or other. And he also had other issues. So he was a huge collector of Wolverine, and he realized he was only getting $1 here, $1 there for books that were only worth $1 here and $1 there in value. All right, a book is only what it's worth on what somebody is willing to pay for it. No matter what an app says, no matter what, that's what that book is worth. So when he was on there and selling some of those later issues, which I'll be honest with you, other than, what was it, 154, 155, which are a little more pricier. It's like it's between a $28 and $60 range. It's the Deadpool story that Wolverine is having at that time. Everything else is pretty much a $3 book here, maybe $5 book there. So for him to come out and tell everybody that everything was a huge book and that you should be picking it up because this could be a huge key. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, maybe. I know nothing about Wolverine, so I'm looking up these books. I'm like, there's no key here. There's not a new introduction of a new character. There's not a new introduction of a new team. There's not a death. There's not a life. There's nothing here. What is so big about these books? And I looked at my wife, who is keeping an eye on things, and she's sitting there listening, and she's chuckling and laughing because she's realizing this guy's completely coming out and lying his ass off about these books. I had to realize there's only a reason why he only had 7 to 8 people buying from him at that time. Because they realized how bad he was a liar. So I'm going to be honest with you here. If you are doing something and you're doing a show and you're doing whatever, you try to be as honest with the public as much as possible, because a lot of people will see through your bullshit. Complete fucking bullshit. So let's show off some of these books that we picked up for $3 a piece, because we realized these books are not worth what he was trying to go for and trying to sell them as. They weren't big books. They're the end of the series. They're fillers. They are what they are, but they were something my wife just wanted to add to the collection. So I made sure I picked them up for her. Let's start off with Wolverine 171. Sean Chen is the artist, and he does amazing work. I absolutely think this is probably the best cover that she ended up picking up. Not too thrilled about that Wolverine look, but dear God, that background is fucking awesome. All right, Sean Chen, you did an amazing job with this issue. And it's not a key issue. All right, let's get on to this one here. This is issue 180. And this is an Andy Kubert cover. For those that are huge fans of Andy Kubert, personally, I don't see anything big about this issue. Another $3 book that was trying to be, told us there was a huge cover and a huge key, and it's not. There's nothing big about this book, other than if you love the artwork of Andy Kubert, this is definitely one of those that you probably want to add to your collection if you like Wolverine also. So, and this is issue 184. All right. So, the artwork is Assad Ribic, who does the cover for this. There's nothing. No, I don't know the storyline. So I can't feed you anything other than what I just told you. But I also know, guess what? It's not a key. It's not a big book. We paid $3 for it, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you, and that's as far as it goes. All right. But it's just one of those that ended up filling out my wife's Volume 2 collection of Wolverine. All right, so Torpedo Comics and whatnot does a Friday sale every Friday where they do signed comic books, okay? And they start them off at $1. Nothing more serious that I ever usually see on there are serious major keys, but a lot of them, or I should say most of them, are signature comic books. So you can possibly get a signature that you really, 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 really like and really, really want for between $1 and $30 some for a higher grade comic book, which is pretty cool. Now, most of them are modern day comic books. They're not brand new. I mean, they're not older comic books. There's nothing that there. It's a bronze, silver, gold, and whatever. They're all modern day comic books. So if you're a fan of today's comic books and you're a fan of today's artists and writers, this is the perfect place to be able to go buy and pick up comic books. And I've gone here several times, and I haven't regretted any time that I've gone. I even got a little uptick on this one here. So I actually was waiting for my son to get out of his appointment. And I'm sitting there and watching this Whatnot app on, the Whatnot app, the Torpedo Comics. And all I hear and them mention is it's a Donny Cates Venom issue number 1. It's a 9.0. And I'm thinking to myself, you know something? I would love that. I know it's not a 9. I mean, they just got done selling a 9.6 or 9.8 actually for $58. This shouldn't sell for any more. Or any more than that. And that's all I keep hearing him mention. It's Donny Cates. So, when I actually opened this up and looked at the yellow marker and looked at the comic book, I'm like, wait a minute. I see Donny Cates. But who's the other guy? And I look up and I go like, holy fuck. I didn't just have Donny Cates. I also got Ryan Stegman on Venom issue number 1. And I know I'm getting a lot of... I feel like I'm getting a lot of... Look at that. It's probably the best way. There you go. I got Ryan Stegman, Donny Cates, and this is the first appearance of the Grendel symbiote. And it's the beginning of that story of Dear God of the War of Null and all the symbiotes. To me... Yes, it's a 9.0. Could I have gotten better? Absolutely. Do I regret getting the one I got? No. Because how many times now are you going to see, unfortunately, because of what's going on with Donny Cates, how many more times are you going to actually see him go out and start signing comic books again? So to be able to get one of my favorite writers with one of my favorite artists of the modern day era, hey, to me, I'm excited and ecstatic. So. That being said, I got one more book here for you to show. It is a 9.6. It's actually the comic book my wife actually started picking me up when we got back into comic books. She went over to one of the local comic book stores that is not Comics Connection or Four Corners where I get my comic books today, and she signed me up for Amazing Spider-Man. And I was hooked all over again. I felt like a little kid. Dear God, I felt like I was 12 years old and on a Saturday morning, and I would get up every Saturday morning and I would read my comic books, and I would be so excited to be able to get through and be able to have some time to myself. I would release the ferrets, they would go out and play, and I'd be sitting there reading comic books and smoking my vape and fucking drinking my coffee and chilling out. It was a great time. So, when I found out I had a possible and an opportunity to be able to get one of my favorite writers that actually drew me back into collecting again and reading again, for a 9.6 for $32, I jumped on it. It's Nick Spencer. Ryan Ottley is the artist, and eventually I will get Ryan Ottley to sign this because he still does the CGC signings. I'll send this back out and get him to sign this also. But to be able to pick this up for $30 some, you can't go wrong. So, and yep, Nick Spencer. And I know a lot of people have some flack, but hey, you know something? He's the one motherfucker that made Captain America say, Hail Hydra. So I'm cool with that. It was probably one of my favorite Captain America storylines, other than the Avengers Twilight that's actually going on at this point in time. So that is what it is. So that are the books that I have to show off to you. That's my little bit of preaching, a little bit of ranting, or whatever going on. I do wish you guys a great week. I'm hoping that you guys will be able to enjoy the comic books that you guys did pick up, enjoy the books that you guys were able to read this week. Hopefully all your stories or whatever that you're getting into goes in a direction that you absolutely are hoping for, or went on a twist that you didn't see coming. So again, if you like what you're watching, you like what you're seeing, dear God, you like the words coming out of this mouth, please please subscribe, please leave a comment, and dear God, if you like, please share. So from my family, your family, please make sure before you rescue, please also make sure that you do your research, know about the babies and animals that you're willing to bring home that might maybe need more care that you actually even have the time for. See you all next week. Take care. Happy New Comic Book Day.